You're listening to the Industry Alchemist podcast. The definition of alchemy is a seemingly magical process of transformation or creation. This podcast exists to hear the stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders doing just that in their industry. We hear about the journey of the brave souls carving a new path, moving their industry and our lives forward in a seemingly magical way. This episode is brought to you by OfficeChief.com. Office Chief exists to make moving your office easy and painless. Moving an office can be a big hassle. On top of running your company, you're thrown into having to figure out what to do. Hire space planners, furniture companies, movers, IT consultants, the list goes on. It only takes 2 minutes to create a profile, and Office Chief gives you a step-by-step action plan and connects you with the top vendors in your market. Moving your office? Log on to OfficeChief.com and make it easy. I'm your host, Matt Brower, co-founder and managing broker of Column Commercial Partners, helping companies save money on their real estate. I'm also founder and CEO of OfficeChief.com, an online resource for businesses moving their office or updating their space.
Hey guys, welcome to the Industry Alchemist podcast. I'm your host, Matt Brower. My guest today is an incredibly intelligent person in the world of computer science. You're going to find out why when you learn more about his company. Raised in a large family with 6 siblings, he excelled in his studies of computer science and invented a new technology as part of his PhD thesis. Now co-founder and CEO of Stateless, his team has created the next evolution in data center networking. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here, Murad Kaplan.
All right, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having us.
So your company, I want to, there's a lot we're going to talk about in this interview where it's going to go completely over my head. It's very technical what you do. Yeah. Can you just give me a brief summary of what Stateless does? I kind of have a sense, but for the listeners, what do you want to say about what you guys do?
Yeah, so we are a software company. Specifically, we do networking solutions. And to give you a little bit of background, so I have a PhD in computer science and I focus on computer networks. So I'm a software engineer, but at the same time, a network engineer. And one of the things that I noticed in my experience, and also when I started my PhD with Eric, that when it comes to the IT infrastructure, the networking was always like lagging behind. You know, like it's basically it's the backbone of any infrastructure. Like for enterprises and big businesses, it's like how do you send data and information from one location to another? It has to go through the network. You know, which is
bigger and bigger and bigger, the need for that, right?
Yeah, which is basically a network is basically cables and devices. That's basically it.
Right.
So what we saw is like we saw an opportunity because networking, we believe, did not evolve to match what we see today, like the public cloud, and you hear about like the 5G and the edge and Internet of Things. That put a lot of pressure on the network to be scalable, to be dynamic, to be flexible. You can modify it. So what we did, basically, we built a software solution that addressed this need. You know, so we sell to large enterprises, network providers, you know, and the concept was like, okay, how do we make network connectivity simple? You know, that can be scalable and also can be flexible. So that's basically the state, what we do as Stateless. We are a software solution, networking software solution that make connectivity simple and scalable.
Okay, and one of your key salespeople, I believe is one of your key salespeople, is a good friend of mine. He's described to me in a little more detail what it is, the distinction, what you guys are doing differently from what people in the past have done. At what point in your education or career did you discover that there was a kind of an opportunity or a problem in this space, in this industry, and you had the idea to build a solution around that?
So to answer the question, like when did we saw the opportunity or the problem? I mean, I would say like almost 15 years ago, a decade ago, when I started after my undergrad, when I started working in the field, it was obvious that there is something wrong there. But also, I want to also highlight that I'm the co-founder, and my co-founder is not here today, and he's the CTO. He also came from that background. So he's a professor at CU. His name is Eric. And he worked with AT&T, and he did his PhD in Princeton, and then he became a professor at CU. And he was already seeing that problem. And what worked in our favor, that I became his student. I took a class, and we've been talking about like what we saw in the industry, and we both said like, yep, we agree, both of us, that there is a problem. Now, what are we gonna do about it? You know?
Wow.
And it took us like a few years of the research, and then I did an internship at AT&T, which is one of the largest kind of network service provider in the industry. And I came back to Eric. I built one of their first virtual or software routers. And then I came to Eric and I was like, hey, I noticed this. What do we, if we do it this way? And I'll jump in and kind of, what does this mean exactly? And that was around 2015 when we came up with a concept that if we change networking to be built this way, that may open the doors for a lot of innovations and solve a lot of problems and enables new solutions, basically. The idea was basically, to what I was saying earlier, that networks is cables and devices, you know? So devices are routers, firewalls, you know, load balancers. And like, since the internet was born, these devices did not change in terms of architecture. There are still these boxes. You get them like physical boxes. And then now there's something called NFV, which stands for Network Function Virtualization. And the concept was like, well, let's turn these physical boxes to software, to virtual machines, VMs or containers. And with that, we'll solve all of the problems in the network. They're faster, scalable. That doesn't work. And the reason is because they follow the same design of the physical boxes. They're still like monolithic, and meaning like if you want to change it, if you want to update it, you have to turn it down and then launch a new one. If you want to scale, then you have to replace the virtual or software box with a bigger box. So there is like
with an actual hardware, right?
Exactly. So there's like a lot of issues here. And what Eric and I came up with, they said, well, what if we break down this box and follow the same design principle we see in the public cloud? You know, public cloud is built for scale, you know, and multi-users and stuff like that. And the idea we started with is every device you see in the network maintains something called a network state, which is basically the device needs to keep tracking of who's connecting to who, you know, like which user is connecting to which file or document. So that's to keep it track.
There's always a link.
Client and server, who's connecting to who. And the problem is, like, if you lose the device, you lose the state, you lose the information, who's connecting to who. So by the time you launch the device again, you have to rebuild the state, build this knowledge, you know?
To reestablish that connection.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, and like timers, connections, and tables and stuff like that. And that's for any network device you can think of, like the routers and firewall. So the first concept was like, what if we remove the state from the device and we put it in a scalable high performance database? Then we don't have to worry about the state, because if the device is being like crashed or whatever, we can retrieve the state. That's like the whole concept of what are we doing, is decoupling state. And by doing that, the device became stateless. Doesn't have the state. That's where the company name came from, is stateless. It's basically because we remove, we're not getting rid of that state, we just decouple it, separating that.
Right.
And that's where we're able to solve a lot of the problems you see today with the network. Now, the novelty of why we're the only one who did that, because when you remove the state, you add some performance, like latency and performance hit. You know, like the connections might be slow, the throughput may drop and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the idea is like, okay, how do you decouple state without sacrificing performance? You know, that's kind of like our patent and where we come in, and we leverage like algorithms, and the database we're using is very fast, and the read and write from the database, all of that combining together. And we published a paper in 2017, and we have the patent for that was approved almost 6 months ago, about that, about how can you decouple state, make network devices, or we call them network functions, stateless without impacting the performance. And once we got that, now we were able to enable a lot of solutions that our customers excited about, that they were not able to do that before with the old monolithic device. I hope I wasn't that technical. I tried to.
No, I have a much clearer picture. The listeners of the show are way smarter than I am, and so I understood that. So I'm sure. So did I hear that? Did you guys come up with a kind of like a software way to develop code, creating this structure without the need of hardware?
Not necessarily. It's more, so we still use hardware, and there are other solutions, that software that is built on hardware. It's more like the design, the architecture we came up is the unique part of us.
Yeah. Okay. So you're able to, it being stateless, you're able to upgrade things and change things without ever bringing the system down or having to reestablish a connection. It's never lost, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we put it in our kind of basically three things. You make it very simple, meaning like simple to upgrade, simple to use, and stuff like that. You make it very scalable, because now you can add lots of connections, lots of users. And then the last thing is you make it evolvable, meaning that you can modify the device without the worry about downtime, because the state and the knowledge is separated, and you can modify the state without affecting the device. And that's gives you the evolvability, which is matched kind of like the cloud requirement. So simple, scalable, evolvable. That's kind of like where we come in.
Yeah. Well, and congratulations on your patent 6 months ago. By the way.
You're welcome. Yeah, we had an announcement about it. If you look it up online.
Oh, cool. So this is the first time anyone has ever done something like this. Is that right?
Correct.
What challenges did you encounter or have to overcome when you create something this new to the industry and you're pushing that into the marketplace? What were like the big things that you remember having to kind of overcome and figure out how to maneuver around?
Well, the first challenge after we introduced the concept is actually building it, prove that it works. So that was during my PhD, and I was working with another student who's also an inventor of the patent, but he's not involved with us in the company. So getting that to work and proving it, that was like a big thing. It took us like a couple of years to do that. I mean, there was like some improvement, but to get to the performance that you feel acceptable, that took us a while. So that was, the first big challenge. The second is when we took it to the market, because we are the only one who's doing it this way, and a startup, fairly new, and networking is very critical to any business. So it's like people, they can't just like deploy a new solution, and if it goes down, they run out of business. You cannot handle loss of connectivity and internet for a while. So that was like the challenge, like educating the market about this is how networking we believe should be built moving forward, and trust us, we know how to do that. So how we did that, basically it took us some while, like it took us some time. Like the customers now we're engaging with, we've been working with for like years, that we're doing like a proof of concept, we're doing testing, getting their feedback, so it's like, there's like this part of educating the market, and prepping them. That was like the biggest challenge. I believe we are now in a very good position, because we build the technology, we build our first kind of versions, we showed that it works. We start having some customers, big customers signing contracts with us. So that's the more you have of that, the more credibility. When you go to the next customer, you say like, "Hey, your competitor just signed with us."
Proof statements, love them.
So yeah,
That's great. That's great. Well, it sounds like the snowball has started rolling down the hill, and you guys are picking up a lot of steam.
yep,
So the company was founded officially in what, 2017?
yeah. Officially 2016, but
Okay.
as a startup, like I was like still a student, and I defended my thesis in 2017.
Okay.
So during that time, like yeah, I mean, on paper it said 2016, but we took off. You can say like mid to late 2018. That's when we got the funding and we started like building like a professional team. And it's not just me and Eric and a couple of engineers, and then we took it from there.
Okay. Well, you guys have moved very quickly. It seems like
Yep.
quicker than most. So if moving that quickly and doing it the way you have done it over the last couple of years, is there anything that looking back now you would do differently as a new entrepreneur pushing a new technology into a space? Is there anything that you can kind of recommend or offer in terms of like, I didn't know this was a huge issue, or I had to, I would do that differently?
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud to say that a lot of things we did turned out to be the right decisions. So that was good. One is like, so one thing we did very well in the beginning, and I recommend, especially the technical entrepreneurs and the founders, they do is put a lot of time and effort and investment in market development or research at the very early stage of the company, before you start asking for funding, before you start building the team, because you want to make sure that you're not just building a cool tech. You want to build something that has value to the industry. And that's a lot of the technical co-founders kind of like fall short into that, because everybody get excited about the technology and they feel very proud of it, and they believe that everybody should buy it. Everybody should use it. What do you mean?
Well, clearly.
And there's a lot of things like when you do in the market development, you realize that, well, maybe the market is not ready. Maybe your solution is very expensive. It's unrealistic, even if it brings value, maybe there is other solutions that doing what you're doing in a better way or cheaper way, maybe the features and the capabilities that you're leading with customers don't care about, and they care about something else. And we did a lot of that at the beginning. That was like the 2016 period when we were like quiet. That's where we spent so much time on doing this market development and literally knocking on doors of these companies, like asking them questions. What do they care about? What are the problems? And taking this knowledge. And then we built kind of our blueprint, and we said, okay, this is our first product, our MVP, what is going to be looking like based on, I mean, believe it or not, like in 6 months, in 1 month, we interviewed over 100 companies, 100 large enterprises.
Wow.
And in 6 months, over like 250, but we gained like a really good knowledge. So that's helped us on the product. That also helped us when we started applying for grants, which is we received really good grants, over 1 million. We have data. It's not like, trust us, we know this. It's like, trust us, we talked with over 100 companies, and these are their names and contacts. When we pitch it to the investors, it's like, I talked to these customers, and you can ask them about us. It's not just Murad saying that.
Yeah.
So that's, I highly recommend for folks, because I saw, unfortunately, a lot of people fail because of that, because they're not aware of that. And this is something you keep doing. It's not like first time and then you stop. You got to always keep on that what's going on in the industry, and and keep that into consideration.
Getting feedback. Yeah.
The thing that I felt we could do better, basically, is like the whole kind of building the team. Like when you build for the first time, I mean, the good thing is like we really put a lot of focus on efforts and our culture. That was like a very, very important things, our values and what we believe in, and hiring and firing, based on that. So I'm very proud of that. And I think like the results, we see it today. We have a very strong, passionate team. The one thing is, looking back, a lot of the decision, especially with the separation with some of the team members, sometimes you just make it, you got to do it very quick, and the longer you wait, the more impactful it is. And I think it's like the concern we had was a typical concern any new co-founder had. It's like, oh, what's going to happen if I lose this critical person? All going to fail. And we're only a handful of employees and stuff like that, and what are the people going to say about me and stuff like that? Everything is going to be fine.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's best for that person and for the company. It's not like, sometimes you just have to do it, and doing it quickly and directly, I think it helps everyone moving things forward and faster. That's my biggest thing when I look back. I wish we could done better at some aspect. So.
Yeah, like making critical decisions quickly involving the team and having the right people in the right seats and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. How can, two more things on Stateless. Can you describe, like, who's the perfect client for you guys? Who should be picking up the phone, calling you guys saying, I got to learn about your product?
Yep. So let me start with where we want to be, So the goal and the vision is the whole ecosystem of networking. And that's mean like every enterprise, every telco company, every institution or organization we believe is a potential customer for us, including universities, schools, small, large businesses, or whatever,
Yeah.
To get there, we realized that's, again, goes back to the market development we did, because that was like one of the questions was like, okay, we're solving a problem for networking, but where do we start with that? Who are the good target customers? And we realized that the good segment to start with is something we call the co-location service provider or the co-location data center provider.
Mm.
And these are companies are initially or originally, they're real estate companies. They build a data center, like a server room, like a large one, 10,000, square foot or whatever. And then they chop it and rent it out for companies. So if you're a company and you have servers, you'd be like, well, I don't want to maintain them in my server room. I don't want to pay for space and power and security, stuff like that. Let me put it in a real estate data center. It's kind of like a hotel. That's actually sometimes they use the term hotel.
Yeah, which technically that is what the cloud is. I just don't have to have it in my office anymore. I put it in the cloud.
But this is more like the cloud is like more focused on the software. This is the actual servers, your machines.
Okay.
Your bare metal, basically.
Yeah.
And they give you access. You can go to that sites and you can, program your hardware and stuff like that. So these companies, the colos, they run out of space and power, and they start looking for other offerings and to bring more revenue. And one of them is connectivity. Like, okay, I have all these tenants. How do I bring more value to them that I can make revenue? Okay, I want to have better, secure, scalable connections to them so they can connect to AWS, to Google Cloud, to another client. And how do I do that when I have thousands of them? That's where the networking problem comes in, because it's very complex, it cannot scale. That's where Stateless come in, and we say, like, we can help you have a simple, scalable, evolvable solution for you. So that was like our first market or customer segment we were focused on, is the co-location cloud service providers. Sometimes they call them network server. Example of these companies in the industry, if you heard of companies like Zayo, they're in Boulder, like Level 3, CenturyLink, all of these are data center. They have that aspect, and they provide connectivity as a service to their customers. And then the next step, which is we plan to do that in the next year, is start targeting enterprise directly, like large enterprises, either by selling them directly or running in the public cloud, in AWS. And that's now you have Stateless basically is covering the ecosystem. We're covering the service provider and we're covering the end users, the enterprise. So answer your question, who was the customers now to pick up? Like co-location data centers providers.
Yeah, that's who you're, you have a lot
Currently,
of studies of success for. Okay. And I have to think that with what's going on in the world right now, everybody, you know, going remote or considering being remote permanently and going to school at home and all these things, this is going to become, or it already is, like that much more important. Connectivity, you know, the speed in which we can upload and download things as we're working remotely. I mean, this is like, you're so poised to offer the solution for this. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, correct. So what happens is, again, because everybody work remote, as you said, one of the applications that a lot of us using is video streaming or multimedia streaming. And that goes to video conferences like this one, you know,
Yeah.
through Zoom or Hangout. That's consume a lot of the resources, you know, and also online video games, you know, because people staying at home, so they play or like stream Netflix or do like video conferences. That put a lot of pressure on the companies that I was telling you about, the cloud and the network service provider, because now they have bursts of traffic, you know, that usually they get like they upgrade every year, 2 years. Now they're forced to upgrade almost every month or 3 months, you know, because the traffic is going. And it's not amount of traffic, but also the complexity, because now, as opposed to having, let's say 100 connections, now you have 10,000 connections.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to deal with that? That's where stateless come in. We're simple, scalable, and you can evolve it. You know, so actually, the COVID-19, actually, the whole kind of pandemic worked in our favor, because that's kind of put more pressures on our customers to engage with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked very well.
Very needed service, and you guys are offering the unique, you know, product that exists. That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then the last question I have is, what's the best way for those companies that are interested to find you guys? What's your website? We're going to put this obviously in the notes as well, but what's the best way for people to learn more? Yeah,
I mean, stateless.net, that's our website. And people, some folks can reach out to me directly in LinkedIn with my first and last name. And we have contact at stateless.net. You know.
Perfect. Okay, great. So I want to switch gears a little bit on you as we wrap here. I grew up with 3 brothers. There was 4 of us, and I remember the chaos of like growing up. Talk to me about how it was growing up with 6 siblings, and where are you in the order?
Yeah. So I'm number 3, which is sucks, because the middle child, like, or if you're in the middle, you're screwed, because you're like,
me too.
Yeah, you're too young to do like adult stuff. Like, I cannot stay late because you're too young. But at the same time, you're too old that you have to do boring stuff, like taking trash out and do some errands and stuff like that. So that was like in a high level. And you always get like the secondhand stuff. Like your older sibling, they get the new clothes and new toys, and they just pass it on to you.
Yeah.
You know? So, which is good, because that's, you appreciate more life, you know, you appreciate a lot of things in life. And then you also growing up, like fighting for your things, you know, and you become like better politician and negotiator, I guess.
You're probably a fast eater like me. You learn to eat fast when you have a lot of siblings.
Oh yeah, like I remember, so we didn't eat so much snacks at home. We don't believe in them like that. Like where I grew up, the culture is like we don't even know about snacks. Like
where did you grow up?
Benghazi, Libya.
Okay.
So in North Africa, there's like you just eat like big meals. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, and if you miss any of them, it's on you. You wait for the other one. There's no other meals left, and yeah, and when you have like a big family, I mean, where I grew up in my generation, that's an average size family, so it's not like a unique to us. But yeah, I mean, I remember my mom, we're gonna make it, put a sticky note from my plate on the refrigerator, so none of my other brothers, the scavengers, eat my food, you know, because yeah, if they eat it, I'll have to wait until the next meal.
Yeah, totally. How many boys and how many girls?
So we're 5 boys and 2 girls.
Wow. And I just, I noticed earlier today on your LinkedIn profile, I laughed out loud. It says, I grew up with 6 siblings. That's how I learned to dance, waiting for the bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, so
It's hilarious.
one of the, some of the periods of our life, we literally lived in an apartment that has only 1 bathroom. I'm not joking about that.
Wow.
And I remember we had to like kind of schedule who's going to the bathroom in the morning, especially when we go to school. You know, my father was usually the last one, but yeah, and you have to make it quick, 10 minutes or less. That's mean like shower, brushing, doing other stuff, and you're out.
Get it
the
done.
next one
Yeah.
you're gonna come in. And if you come back from the beach, you know, or like a trip, everybody needs to rush to the bathroom and be there first, you know. So
Wow.
there's like, yeah, a lot of fun stories and memories there.
I'll bet. Are all your siblings, you come from a family of, you know, highly educated, driven people? Are you the black sheep? Like what's the rest of your family up to these days?
Yeah, I mean, my parents, they went to college. None of them has, I'm the only one who got a PhD. But yeah, I mean, my siblings, all of them, they went to college. And I have
That's great.
brother, he's a dentist. My sister's a pharmacist. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, school was very important for us. So we all, you know, took care of that.
That's great. Yeah, we all went to college. I do have one brother that is the PhD. We call him the smart brother.
Yeah.
So you're the smart brother of your family, I have no doubt. So is there anyone or anything that you can give credit to for, you know, what drives you in the world right now? What drives you to like create something like this and have it be wildly successful, and as you go be on fire every day?
I don't have like a specific person. I mean, there's a lot of great people in the world through the history. Like I take in and out. So I don't have someone specific. I think it's more like what I believe in, you know, where I grew up, and the faith and everything is overall is life is too short, you know, to not take advantage and keep it fun.
Yeah.
And take risks. You know, that's how I live with it. Like the mantra is like, okay, if you don't take a chance, then you'll regret it. And I'd rather take a chance and fail than not doing anything and then be on the safe side. So that's kind of like my mantra, what I believe in. So everything is like, yeah, just measure the risk and just go for it. And if you fail, well, you fail. Just do it again. Do it again. Do it differently, you know? So that's what I believe in. Is like, you only live once, so take the most out of it. Have fun.
That's great. Yeah, it's like so simple, yet so difficult many times, right? We get caught up in fear and inaction and things like that. So that's great to hear. Two more questions, kind of rapid fire. You mentioned, you know, the mantra. Are there any books or any quotes that have been particularly impactful in your life?
I can tell you books for sure. Quotes, again, it goes back to what I was saying about like specific people. There is a lot of good people, great people. I mean, quotes like the one that I used to live with, which is kind of related to what I was saying, is like, live to your end like you're dying tomorrow, and live your life like forever. Something around that. And every culture has a different kind of twist, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Books. I like to read a lot of business books, you know, like a lot of fun ones. I mean, the recent one that I can't remember that I read that I like a lot, one is Measure What Matters, which is basically, if you know about OKRs, kind of methodology, objective and key results, and how to measure progress and success. So like the book talks about that and how Intel and Google kind of deployed that at the early stage and became successful based on that. So Measure What Matters, that was one of my favorite books. And then Negotiation Genius That's also another great book. I forgot the author's name, but it's basically is like how to get into a deal in anything in life.
Yeah.
You know, with the concept is not win or lose, is basically win-win, because almost every deal that you're still gonna have that relationship with the other party after the deal. That's why you're signing a deal.
Right.
So it's in your best interest to build a good relationship and look for their interest as well in their deal, because you want to have a successful relationship with them. You know, so that's a great book, and yeah, these are the two I can remember on top of my head.
I love it. I hadn't heard of that second one. I'll have to look that up. Sure. And then last question before we wrap: is there anything that you do personally that in the world of like self-care or just to keep yourself centered and focused, like a morning routine or maybe afternoon? Like that?
So I meditate, part of my religion as well. So I'm Muslim, so I pray like 5 times and meditate for that. So that's I think is in general it's good for your brain and focus.
What's your specifically when do you do that and for how long?
I mean, so for Islamic beliefs, basically you pray 5 times a day.
Okay.
And early in the morning, and then at noon, and then around 3 p.m., 4 p.m. So it depends on the sun, you know, and then at sunset, and then at night. And each prayer should take like around 2 to 4 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not like a long one, but it's a good kind of breaks you get during the. So that's from a mental kind of thing. I believe in the me time. Like even with my family, and I'm married and I have kids, but they understand that I need my own time. And this is something I like. A lot of people, they think it's selfish, but I don't think it's selfish. It's very, very important that you spend time with yourself. You know, it's good for your health, good for people you're engaging with. And how I do it is basically I do it through the meditation, but also I do it through the workout. You know, like I work out like almost every day. And I do like nothing fancy. I just like, I mean, I was in the powerlifting team when I was young, but like going to the gym or like riding a bike or doing something by myself, I like that a lot. And I think that's an important thing, you know, to do, especially when you run a company and there's a lot of things that you have to deal with. A lot of people, they forget about that, and they feel bad, or they feel sad. It's like, well, it's being selfish. I have to give my time to my family, to my team. And I was like, yeah, you do that, but if you don't give time for yourself, you'll regret it, and you become depressed and sad, and like your productivity will gonna drop.
Yeah,
so I think it's a very, very good thing to do, and I put a lot of kind of efforts in that. You know.
Yeah, I love it, and that exercise piece, so true for me. It's like, when you break your body down, your mind becomes calm. That's so true for me. Yeah. This is why, like, working out for me is mental health. It's direct correlation. I think there's a lot to be said for that. So, yeah. Well, Murad, this has been an amazing conversation. It's incredible that I vaguely understand the technical part of what you do now. So thank you very much for your time and for telling us more about Stateless and what you guys are doing. And I mean, this is so big. I can't even, I love learning. This is why I do this podcast. I love learning about, you know, something that somebody has created that's incredible, that is going to move like our lives forward in a very big way. Not just business, but our lives, everything about how we operate in the world. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you, and we're very excited. Hopefully, COVID kind of goes away, you know, soon. Then we go back to our office. We have a really good office that I feel bad that we're not leveraging right now because nobody's in the office in Boulder. So we're based in Boulder. The entire team is in Boulder. And Matt, if whenever you have time, you're like welcome. Maybe we have another podcast from the office there.
Absolutely. I love that. How many people are you up to now in the office?
About 40 plus minus. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. Yeah. And I forgot to mention, thank you, Mike, for being here as well. Director of Marketing, or Chief Marketing Officer.
He's the VP Marketing.
Yeah, someplace in between there. Yeah.
Well, he called himself in Slack the marketing guy. That's right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, keep doing what you're doing because it's obviously working. And thanks for helping get this put together as well.